All right, y'all. Welcome to the Fitness for 55 Plus podcast brought to you by Stronger Life. My name is Dr. Dustin Jones, physical therapist.
Dr. Jeff Musgrave, physical therapist.
All right, so we're talking about sarcopenia today. What is it? What you need to know. A lot of misconception about this term, but I wanted to start off with what kind of started this conversation. So, one of our favorite apparel brands.
By far.
Yeah, Old Lady Gains. So you'll see a lot of their shirts in our classes, but basically just challenging a lot of stereotypes around women related to fitness, but then also aging related to fitness, and we're all for that. So they had a post that said, "Muscles don't know age, they only know effort." Mm-hmm. And my first reaction is like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm about
that's
that.
what we're all about.
But I do disagree with the statement. What was your initial reaction when you saw that?
Yeah, no, I was
post?
super pumped. I love it because it gives a lot of hope, and there's a degree of truth there, but it's not the whole truth.
Right.
It's maybe a little bit tinted, like people will say, wearing their rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
Because there are changes, like the muscles do change over time. Mm-hmm. So it could feel just a little bit deceptive, although in general the message is great.
Yeah.
Because effort has so much to do with how our muscles age, but they do age, and there are changes.
Yeah, I think the age-related changes, and that's where sarcopenia comes in, is we can't do much about it. Like, we're gonna have changes over time. What that typically looks like. So for sarcopenia, it's age-related change to muscle size, muscle strength, and then function. So there's lots of things you want to look at, but we're all going to have some age-related changes to our muscles for a whole host of reasons. One is that it becomes more challenging to maintain our muscle mass as we age. We have to work harder to maintain it, and we have to work extra hard to even build it. We have to eat more food to trigger that growth in muscle, particularly with protein. Our protein intake needs to go up, and it takes more protein to trigger your muscles to get strong and a little bit bigger as opposed to when you were younger. You have a preferential loss of a certain muscle fiber that's responsible for like fast movements, type 2 muscle fibers. And so we also associate with that as our muscles will typically, get smaller over time. These are age-related changes, but the X factor, and this is what this quote is getting to, is the effort. Mm-hmm. That's where, there's no drug you can take, there's no pill, there's no, magic wand that you can wave to reverse sarcopenia or minimize how you're going to experience it, other than effort. So what does that look like in Stronger Life, when you say your muscles only know effort? What does that look like in our class? Like, how, as a coach, do we emphasize effort, and how do we help people know, if they're giving enough effort in class?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something that we try to hit in multiple ways. So some people, when they're newer, they're a little more timid about lifting heavy, and form always comes first. We want people to be moving well. But we give people the opportunity to do things like max effort sets. So there's a good bit of the literature that shows that doing a max effort set where you're doing as many as you can to exhaustion is one way to trigger muscle growth. Now, one of the ways we love to do this in class is doing smaller sets, but going heavier. Because heavy weights not only help hit both muscle fiber types, to help sustain the entire muscle, because if you're only training one of the muscle fiber types, then you're only going to maintain those, and you're going to lose the ones that you're not training. Mm-hmm. So going heavy in class, under supervision in class from a Stronger Life certified coach, but those smaller sets going heavy, and then high volume sets. And there actually was a really interesting research article that just came out in the last year where they were looking at groups of older adults, people that did not respond favorably to the traditional lower volume, high intensity or high load, that if you increase that volume, then they would start to respond and their muscles would grow. So
when you say volume, what does that mean?
rep number. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what how many, like, what are you thinking when you say high volume? How many reps does that look like if we were in like a session or a class?
That's a great question. So, I mean, I would say to define lower volume first, I mean, like 25 reps. Say we do sets of 5 by 5, and those are meant to be moderate to heavy. And then we'll do a max effort set at the end. So maybe you'll end up with like 30 reps total. But talking more like 50, 60, 70 reps, maybe even 100 reps with a much lighter load with good form. Like in a station-based workout, like you'll hit that movement, that muscle group will get a rest break for anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes, and then you're going to hit that movement again while you're working on different muscle groups and come back. So you can give a really nice high volume effort. Like traditionally for strength training, we want to go heavier if we can and hit anywhere from 3 to 8 reps if we're thinking about getting stronger. So we're going to get an opportunity to get maybe 15 or 20 reps and walk away from the workout with like 100 reps. So people who don't respond to that traditional low repetition, high intensity, or not necessarily high intensity, but high weight, high load, those people are going to respond really well to the higher volume.
Yeah.
So we kind of can capture both groups of people.
Yeah, and that's, as a member, that's really helpful because we're going to attack it from so many different angles.
Yeah.
Like if you don't respond one way, we're going to make sure you will respond in another way.
Yeah, your muscles almost don't get an option not to get stronger with us. Like we've got all your bases covered, whether we talk about it a whole lot or not.
Yeah. So the intervention for sarcopenia is effort, is resistance training. It could be low reps, high intensity, or relatively heavy weight. It's going to feel hard to do. Or you do a lot of reps and the weight may be a little bit lighter, but you're doing more reps of that. If you're doing that regularly, you fuel yourself, with enough protein, for example, then you're going to be doing yourself a big favor related to sarcopenia. Go ahead.
Something on that. There's been some great literature that has broken down, like even people that have already been sarcopenic for years, late stages, they've already become what they'll call in the literature frail, where they've lost some gait speed, they've lost some strength over time, that those people still respond favorably. So I think such a great message and thing to know is it's almost never too late.
Yeah.
Even if you've been in that state for a long time, if you stay consistent, you put the effort in, and then you fuel yourself, you will get results.
Yeah.
So it's not like this sarcopenia process can't be intervened on even after it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
So sorry, I know you probably weren't headed there with that, but I think it's so important for people to know, like it's almost never too late.
Right.
You just have to do the right thing consistently.
Yeah.
Turn months into years into decades, you can change your life.
Yeah.
So exciting.
There's someone out in our lobby right now. Remember, it's about to turn 90. She would fall in that kind of sarcopenic category, but she's getting after it and is in a better spot now than definitely where she was when she started, and just challenging a lot of what we would think of a 90-year-old should be able to do.
Yeah, easily able to lift like 50 pounds from the ground. When we do burpees, just a version of getting up and down. She doesn't use a box. She just gets up and down.
Yeah, just crushes it.
Won the 5K in her age group in the last year. Like, this is how you want to be 90.
Right. Effort over everything. So effort's the main intervention. I do want to give you all a tool that if you're thinking, do I have sarcopenia? I want to give you a tool that you can go through to determine if you do, because that's important, because that makes the importance of you lifting regular weight, joining a gym like Stronger Life, giving that effort, it makes it even more kind of an urgent situation. Like you want to start to do something quickly. So I'm going to give you a questionnaire, and there's lots of ways that you can kind of measure sarcopenia, right? You'll see some different physical tests like your hand grip strength, your gait speed, Jeff mentioned. Standing up and sitting down from a chair can be a common one for time. But there's a questionnaire, and we'll link to it in in the notes of the show on YouTube and on our blog as well. But it's called the Sarc-F, and I'm going to read this to you. It's relatively short, but I want you to think about this. So Sarc-F, it's a screening for sarcopenia. There's different components, and just think to yourself what your response to these questions will be. First one is looking at strength. How much difficulty do you have in lifting and carrying 10 pounds? None, that'd be a 0. Some would be a 1. A lot or unable would be a 2. Assistance in walking. How much difficulty do you have walking across the room? 0 would be none. 0 would be none. 1 would be some. A lot or using an assistive device would be 2. You would just add up the scores to this. Next one is rise from a chair. How much difficulty do you have transferring from a chair to a bed? Same scoring. 0 is none. 1 is some difficulty. 2 would be you have a lot of difficulty, you're unable to do it. Climbing stairs. How much difficulty do you have climbing a flight of 10 stairs? 0, 1, or 2. Falls. How many times have you fallen in the past year? 0 would be none. 1 would be less than 3 falls. And then 4 or more falls would be a score of 2. And if you tally all those up, you add up those scores, data suggests that a Sarc-F score of equal or greater than 4 best predicts the need for further evaluation related to sarcopenia. And evaluation, but then also an intervention. And that intervention is effort. Effort over everything. Your muscles do know age. They're very familiar with age. We are all going to feel it in some way, shape, or form, but your effort is going to influence how that age impacts your muscles and what that looks like in your life.
I would say on that tip of like your muscles know age, they also know your training history. And the more training history you build up, the better you're going to be set up for success.
Yeah.
So that goes both ways.
Yep. Preach.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, sarcopenia. Big term. Doesn't have to be too scary. There's a lot you can do about it. If you have any questions, drop them in our Facebook group, Fitness for 55 Plus Facebook group. So there's over 800 people from all across the world that are all over 55 that are trying to better themselves. It's a very supportive community. So if you have a question, drop it in there. That's where we post these podcasts before they get published publicly, and it's where we spend a lot of time fielding different questions. Thank you all for listening or watching on the podcast, and we'll talk to you soon.